The three Republican candidates for governor offered three starkly different choices for voters as they all took the debate stage for the only time in this race on 9 News Tonight. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kim Christensen.
And I'm Phil Lipoff. The frontrunner, ministry leader Victor Marx, deflected questions about his qualifications to be governor, as his two opponents also said he doesn't have the character to be governor.
Our Kyle Clark moderated the debate at the University of Denver. Kyle, some strong words used to describe Victor Marx tonight.
Victor Marx's opponents, State Senator Barb Kirkmeyer and State Rep Scott Bottoms, described Marx tonight as a con man, a liar, and a fraud. They predicted disaster for other Republicans on the ballot if he's the nominee for governor. And they challenged the self-described high-risk missionary's false claims about rescuing more than 45,000 women and children overseas in more than 100 rescue missions. And they raised concerns about his open boasts of violence. Mr. Bottoms, you have described Mr. Marx as a con man.
Yeah, I stand by that. I also said he was corrupt, and I also said he lies, and he lied to me personally quite a few times. And so I stand by that. I can't put somebody like that any more than I can put a Democrat into the governor's seat. He conned my church. I'm not okay with that, and I'm going to stand against that 100%.
How specifically did he con your church?
He came and told me that he rescued, the term he used was rescued, not gave teddy bears to, but he rescued 45,000 people in over 100 situations, 30 countries. And that was a lie.
Mr. Bottoms, thank you. Mr. Marx, your response.
You're mean. You know, this is the same rhetoric as someone who's desperate, who's already lost. And the things that he says, I can just say this: accusations without evidence is nothing more than gossip or a lie.
But the reason I have said that I will not support Mr. Marx is because, one, I mean, he is unqualified, but that's not really the reason. It's because he's unfit. By his own words, he has said he's unfit. He talks about homicidal and suicidal tendencies. Makes me a little worried about, being in rooms with him, that quite frankly. He's a fraud. He makes up these tall tales, these tall stories, and I just don't believe them. And even when you have asked him these questions directly, he just doesn't answer them.
Marx, who has described his two opponents as quote-unquote inconsequential, said tonight that they're just sore losers. And he said that voters who have questions about his big claims about his lifetime achievements should consult his promotional materials from his missionary work. Now, when it comes to policy and governing Colorado, these three conservative Republicans don't disagree on a lot, but they do differ greatly on approach to policy. State Senator Kirkmeyer delved into details based on her decades of experience in governance in Colorado. State Rep Scott Bottoms peppered his policy positions with off-the-wall claims that he didn't attempt to provide evidence for. And Victor Marx, he often just dispensed with the details of policy entirely and relied on his folksy charm.
Kyle, as you point out, it's an uphill battle for any Republican looking for that office in this state. But I'm wondering twofold. Do you think Republican voters who were watching tonight got a good sense of who each of these people are, each of these candidates? And do you think either any of them moved the needle in any direction?
I think that voters watching tonight, or who go and watch the entire debate on 9news.com or on the next YouTube channel, get a very, very good idea who these three candidates are, right? This was vintage Victor Marx. This was classic Barbara Kirkmeyer, and this was exactly who Scott Bottoms is. You got a very clear idea. I don't know if it moves anybody out of their respective camps because these three candidates are so different in their approach. It's tough for me to picture a Republican voter saying, oh yeah, I love how Barb Kirkmeyer goes deep into the details and has tons of governing experience, but then tonight being like, but I really thought that Victor Marx was charming, right? You like one thing or you like the other, or you like Scott Bottoms' ultra MAGA approach. I don't know how many people cross teams tonight.
It was important, though, to see them all three together because we may not see that happen again. I mean, we have Victor Marx's interview last week, but they have not debated together until tonight.
They have not. And I'll be honest with you, what I saw on that stage tonight was the type of contempt between candidates that I don't know that I've seen since 2016, when Donald Trump stormed onto the Republican stage and was up there with a bunch of people with established histories in politics who looked over and said, how in the world are we losing to that guy, right? Mm-hmm. Victor Marx has some of that Donald Trump outsider, here I come to save the day, and he's caught fire with Colorado Republicans in terms of fundraising and so forth, and you could tell that Scott Bottoms and Barb Kirkmeyer have zero respect for that man.
There was no doubt about that.
That was pretty clear.
That was very clear. All right. Thank you, Kyle.